This weekend, it's the 150th episode of Weekend Rental Podcast. And to celebrate, Ryan let me do the intro. I'm Bananas. Oh, shit.
Well, back again. Milestone episode 150. When you figure that we do this thing every 2 weeks, that's a lot of years. I haven't done the math. But it's like, was it 52? 52 weeks a year?
In most years, yep.
Yeah.
Since we invented the calendar.
What's a calendar? I follow strictly the stars. I have no idea what you speak of. Actually, I follow the Mayan calendar. It ended like 10 years ago. 11 to be exact.
Well, that explains this podcast.
Yeah, it's real loosey-goosey. So that's a big deal, you know? I think that's a big number. We should be happy. Yeah. You know, I think like on behalf of Andy and myself, I'd like to say that like lineup changes, format changes. I think we're in a good spot. Like it's very dynamic. We're able to manage it better now. We think we have a very fun show. We hope you agree. We know it's just the two of us. But God damn it, we hope the two of us is enough. We appreciate everyone that's continued to listen. So 150 episodes is going to be a little bit special. We got some fun things planned. A fun game that we may or may not
I'm excited.
Off from Bob Barker. No spoilers. And we've got a milestone game coming up to just really celebrate the whole 150 milestone. If you're going to get 150, you got to do it with a good game. In an unstoppable game. If you're watching the video, it might be behind Andy.
Yeah. Spoilers.
It's the audio version. You're going to have to wait. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about what's happened since last episode. Last episode, we kind of debriefed on the almighty Midwest Gaming Classic. Our thoughts on the Mario movie, which has continued to just fucking rake in the cash, which is unbelievable, which is good for them.
Yep.
What you been up to?
Oh man, not much compared to the last episode where we talked like about all that stuff. It was like a whirlwind of stuff that we couldn't even get to, and then it's back to reality and not much going on anymore.
And emails and life.
Right. Yeah. I still have Peaches stuck in my head.
I am not gonna lie, I pre-ordered the 7-inch on vinyl. So I'm gonna forever have Peaches stuck in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great song.
I think it hit the top 100 Billboard, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it was like Jack Black's first solo, like top 100, like charting. And
yeah,
I've been watching some of like the metal covers and stuff, and like it's pretty badass. Like some of those metal covers are actually pretty fucking amazing. It's a very stupid song, but yeah, if it's not stuck in your head, something wrong with you.
I thought I would be like ready to go back and see it again, but I'm kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like the movie that much as an adult, I will say.
Yeah.
We have a third person who used to host with us who's been unable to go because his family's not interested. He's like, maybe we should go together. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait till the DVD comes out. But, you know, you go ahead, catch a matinee.
Yep.
I think the special features will make for my next watching, but then after that, I'm probably done.
Yeah.
And not to disparage it at all. It is, again, exactly what that movie is meant to be. And that's awesome. And I love it for it, but it is not a movie for me. I'm 40 and sad and have no magic left in my life, but my children love it. So, you know.
You thought the world was ending like 11 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
didn't
calendar
happen.
really threw me off. Damn Mayans. I've been lost ever since, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I started my YouTube channel. I had no meaning in life. So I was like, you know, I've got all these video games. The world didn't end. I guess I could start making videos and sharing them publicly. So,
yep.
There's silver linings, you know. Have you played anything new? There's been a couple decent-ish releases, you know?
Yeah. So I haven't. My son has played a lot of Minecraft Legends
Okay,
since that
good.
has
I'm
come
glad
out.
one of us has gotten into it. Yeah.
I have not, like, I've been poking my head in and just kind of like seeing what he's doing, but I can't follow what's going on in that game.
How is it different than Dungeons? Is it more tactics
It
and like mob resource based or what? It's not clear from the trailer.
it's it seems to me like it's a real-time strategy game, maybe.
Okay.
Mixed with
Is it
maybe
that
like
linear? Like you're just on a path?
it's kind of with some tower defense. So you're like a guy riding on a spider or something, and you're basically gathering resources to build spawners,
Okay.
and that's kind of what you get monsters to spawn, just like StarCraft or something like that. You're building units to attack something.
But I
Then
imagine all the ultra light version of that because Minecraft.
I don't know. I haven't sat down and actually watched a whole encounter that he's doing, but
Sure.
he seems to like it a lot.
I mean, I know it's done numbers. Like it's been
Mhm.
big for Microsoft, so
The graphics are kind of weird though. Like they're Minecraft,
sort
but
of
like
cell shaded and like hardly outlined. I've noticed that.
yeah,
I actually
it
kind of
almost looks
dig
like
it.
it looks like a texture pack that
Yeah,
was in Minecraft or something like that.
I kind of appreciate that. Like make it look a little bit different, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I know that was like I was reading about that and like it was a big deal, a lot of pre-installs and like I showed it to my son and like he wasn't even all about it, even as being as big into Minecraft as he was. He just I mean, I'm sure we'll get there eventually, but
Yeah.
pretty big deal for like day one Game Pass stuff.
Yeah. It's getting more playtime than Dungeons did in our house, I think. So
Dungeons fell flat. Like Dungeons didn't know how to scale itself. And that
mhm.
was the problem. It was like we'll replicate Diablo but not give you the loot grind reward. And then what's the point? That's not even really the game.
Yep. Yeah, I fell off that game pretty hard. I remember that.
Excuse me, I'm choking here.
Yeah, there's some other Resident Evil 4 looks really good.
Yep.
I do want to pick that up.
That's one of those things like the remake, critically acclaimed, nobody's talking about it. It's hard to feel like RE4 needs an update because it just continues to be ported, but yeah, that's like that's the pinnacle of like horror with playability to me, like in that franchise. So I'll get there eventually. Yeah, and then the other thing was like Dead Island 2 came out, which I think that's crazy because it's been like 12 years in the making. Plus, there's been 4 Dead Island games. Wasn't Dead Island Riptide Dead Island 2? I don't know why this one. But anyway, people seem to like it. I've seen the gameplay. It looks gruesome and gory, and the lighting and visuals look great. It's supposedly very linear and very stupid and fun with friends, which is kind of all you want out of Dead Island. So I've been waiting to buy it. I want to buy it. God, I'm sorry. I've been wanting to buy it digitally, and as I'm coughing, I'm realizing that's a perfect segue because muted cough there. I haven't been able to play it because my household has had COVID. My daughter and my wife have had COVID. We shunned them to the basement, which is where all my consoles and my game room are. And that happened over the week that game came out last week. So I've been meaning to buy it digitally so that my son and I can play it on Xbox consoles co-op. And it hasn't happened yet. Now I'm debating because we're 2 weeks from Zelda, right? So do I just wait until Dead Island 2 is like $10? And I think that's probably the right answer.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's going to happen.
That footage that I've seen of that game is one of the few times that I'm like, I don't like what I'm seeing because like there's something about the reflection and the lighting on the blood.
And yeah,
it makes it look really
And
really
the amount of
realistic, and it's
gruesome
just
damage that has to be
nasty.
done to each zombie is like, yeah, I feel almost bad about this, but then there's zombies, you know? So
Yep.
I think it'd be a perfect, like, gather your buddies, just beat the shit out of stuff game. Which is what made the first game fun too. So never got to play Riptide. Because Justin and I, former, like the very first third person in this podcast, we played the third host in this podcast. We played through Dead Island together, loved it, bought Riptide because it was like $10 on clearance instantly, you know, and neither one of us could get the opening 30 minutes of the game to not glitch and crash. So we just never played it. It never happened. Luckily, Dying Light came out and we played through that together, which Dying Light was basically an improvement in every way, but like where it got fun and where you got OP and had all these powers, like it was the last 10% of the game, so it never paid off.
Oh, sure.
Which is kind of the same thing I've heard from Dying Light 2. It's like, yeah, you get to where it's fun, but then there's no end game, you know, and that's actually kind of what I've heard about Dead Island 2. Also, is like you get these superpower moves, but then if there's no DLC coming, you know, you don't get to enjoy it. But it's a game I want. It's a game I've been wanting to play. It's a game I'm surprised is reviewing at like an average of an 8.0 out of 10.
After that long, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll get it. I'll get it digitally, and we'll play. Me and my son will play through it. But at this point, all I'm thinking about is Tears of the Kingdom. So, and in theory, my new OLED Zelda edition Switch is arriving this Friday as of recording. So we'll see what happens.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Should be out the 28th. We'll see. We'll see what Best Buy does. I don't trust Best Buy, but.
So is that that's the third Switch in your house then? Fourth? Wow.
Yeah. So my kids each have a light. I have my original. The plan is then to like wipe my original, give it to my nephew, and then this will be my main player. And I've got one slot left on my family plan, and I can get him in there, and he's got all the digital games and stuff. So
yeah.
It's a good excuse to, you know, blow $400 for the one game I'm probably going to play and then retire my Switch. So
that'll be a good collector's Switch, like, you know.
Yeah, especially if I can find the Pro Controller. Pre-orders were down, but usually the Pro Controllers aren't that hard to find in store after the fact, so we'll see.
Yep.
Not that worried about it. I've been playing a wonderful little game. We've talked about it several times in this podcast, and those Dadish games are real good. So my family got COVID, and we were all sitting around the house and couldn't do anything for like the week and a half. I was like, screw it. I'm going to play through Dadish 2 because I'd purchased it. Played through it after playing Daily Dadish, of course, and beat it. And I was like, well, I'm going to buy Dadish 3 because it was the only one that wasn't like $1.99. It's like $9.99 to buy it, and bought Dadish 3. It's great. All those games are worth it. I don't care what platform you're buying them on. If you like platformers and weird humor, just go buy those games. Steam, Switch, whatever. They're good. I don't even feel bad about paying $9.99 for Dadish 3. It's been fun. I have to imagine I don't know, 4/5 the way through it at this point. I haven't beaten it, but working on it. So
is there different mechanics in the second and third one?
Yeah, they introduced Mamedo, which is apparently the mother of your radish children, and she just like Dadish is like, hey, it's been 3 years. She's like, yeah, well, I can work remotely now, so I'm back. He's like, okay. So she becomes like another rideable character. But her thing is she has like infinite jump. Like she just constantly jumps. So that's where they turn her into like some very frustrating and not fun levels. Some of my least favorite in the whole series, but I like the humor of like the kids being like, Mom's back. And he's like, I guess, you know? So it kind of evens out. It doesn't, it doesn't do anything to set the gameplay apart. I will say the level design has gotten better, like progressively through the series, and 3 continues to deliver on that. So yeah, it's just fun. They do a little bit of different stuff with the boss fights too. Nothing crazy. It's still like 3 hits you're out, but like a little bit different dynamics. So I hope they do a whole package at some point and like a physical release. It'd be cool. Like
that would be really cool.
He definitely lifts assets right from Super Mario World 3, but it's still great. Or Super Mario Brothers 3, but
yep.
Yeah, good games. So that's really been all I've played, I think.
Yeah, I played the original Dadish just yesterday.
Okay.
On a remote server.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did that thing. We might as well talk about that.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this 150th anniversary celebration, Andy figured out like the weird like world of virtual PCs, and we did a whole online share session of like all the Tetris creators' games. Spoiler: they get weird. And progressively less weird. Fun.
Mm-hmm. It's like when the Beatles really got popular and then they started taking drugs and their stuff kind of got better. It's like that. It's like that, but
the opposite.
Yeah, the drugs were hitting, but people were not feeling it.
Yeah,
the output was not. The Yellow Submarine was pretty awful.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird video that will at some point hit our YouTube. So if you aren't subscribed to Weekend Rental on YouTube, find us there. That will
please do. Yes,
that will make it over there and probably blow some minds because Faces or Face-Tris, however you want to call it, might be the most fucked up game I've ever played in my life. Not only from like a gameplay perspective, but like propaganda perspective.
Yep, it's disturbing.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like just really hitting your crowning achievement first go in life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. Embrace that, and he did. I guess he's the Tetris guy.
Yeah, no matter what, they can't take that away from him, right?
I'm sure Russia was like, "You make more, or we kill." Want potato? Make a game.
On a potato.
Yes. Yeah, so that was interesting. Did you have you kept up with Mandalorian?
No.
So
I
sad.
I think I finished the last season.
So you've not even started this season?
I have not started this season. I've heard a lot of mixed things about it.
It's better than bad. It's good.
Okay.
I think it's the final takeaway.
Is it like the last season where it was like, it's kind of bad, and then at the end they just threw a whole bunch of stuff in it that was like, well, I was entertained and I like that, but I don't know if it was for the reasons that
I would say all of it's good except for the episode where they felt to throw in like Lizzo, Jack Black, and like the guy from Back to the Future. That was pretty hard. Like, I don't want this for most people. I think potentially, depending on what Disney wants to do, this is wrapped, at least from a Mando storyline and Grogu storyline. It had a very like picturesque, this could be done or we're going to hang it up. And I think the way they did it was good. I think like I doubted a little bit of the direction, like the third act. But I think they kind of came around and it's pretty damn good. I think you should catch up, is what I'm trying to say. Also, have you watched Picard yet?
I've watched the first 2 episodes of the first season. So I'm a long ways away from all the good stuff.
So the series finale happened, and that might be some of the goddamn best Star Trek and sci-fi of all time. Like, if you're not laughing, crying, and wanting more and knowing you're not going to get it, which should make you cry more, like, oh my God, the Picard series finale was like everything I could have wanted. Like, it's just so good. Like, I won't spoil too much, but like in one of the final scenes, like after their last mission, it's like the geriatric troop of the Enterprise is like reunited, right? Like everyone's talking about their memories and feelings and like how glad they are to have accomplished it. And then it just cuts to Worf sitting in like the number one seat, and he's just like passed out snoring. It's just like they're mid conversation. He's like, and it was just like, yep, this is our life. Like, we're fucking old.
Wow.
Like, we saved the
That's pretty good.
galaxy and we're fucking 90. It was such a good culmination of that Enterprise story.
Do you need to see the previous seasons?
Because season 2 is very Q heavy, and you know how Q fucks with the timeline.
Yeah.
I'd say you need to watch season 1 because you need to understand that Picard is no longer, I don't want to spoil it for you.
I already know that part.
Okay, yeah, he's no longer his human vessel. That's critical to season 3. You could miss season 2. You will lose some underpinnings for some of like the side relationships. But yeah, you could. Like, season 2 got very up its own ass with Q and the Borg. So you could skip it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because I think it's all good.
Okay.
Season 2 was like definitely the point where I was like, I don't know if they know what they're doing with this, but season 3 brought it all back pretty.
Yeah, season 3 is the one that I want to get to because that's where all the good stuff is.
Season 1's great. Season 2, first half fine. Second half, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, to the point where you almost lose interest. But season 3 is like start to finish, this is the shit. Like, it's so good.
They can't really make another one though, right?
No, I mean they buttoned it up. They did do an after credit on the final episode though, which I don't want to spoil it, but knowing the DNA relation of some of the characters and the aforementioned Q person from season 2, theoretically this thing could go anywhere, but I don't think Picard's gonna be back. So,
I mean, at some point, you could do anything with Q, I guess. So,
yeah,
at some point, you gotta just let Picard go. Yeah. I mean, the guy is really old now.
It was basically like a love letter to what I would argue is the best generation of Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like, if you grew up appreciating that and appreciating what came before it, and like understanding the brilliance of like Enterprise, this is what you wanted. I mean, they've done like such a mixed job of like keeping the canon in that universe, but I would put season 3 of Picard ahead of even like the reboots, like those first 2 movies, especially. The third one was trash, but really good. Like, you got to get there for sure. You're gonna I will say you might struggle through 2, but you're really gonna like 3. So
cool. Yeah.
So now I'm like out of shows basically. I have like Barry, which is wrapping up, and then I'm done. So
wow. See, I'm way behind in everything.
Dude, Barry is great because like, you've watched Barry?
Yeah, I've not seen the last so this new season or the last season, but I think I watched the first 2.
Yeah, so like Hank and the Guatemalans, or whatever, at war. So like the second episode of this, I won't ruin too much. You'll still enjoy it. They're like trying to start like a new like crime syndicate with like these 2 like warring factions. Like, we're at war with each other. We would never sit down at the table together. So when it cuts to Hank and his like gay lover from like the rival turf, and they're like, we brought you here to the happiest place on earth, Dave and Buster's. They're doing like a round table like conference on like murder and like forgiveness, and the lady like pops in like, hey, would anyone like any jalapeno poppers? Like, oh yeah, we'll do a round for the table. It's the most absurd situation for like a crime syndicate meeting. I just died. I was like, how do you even come up with that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that show has the most weird tonal shifts
Yeah.
Ever. Like there's parts where it completely dives into comedy and that's back into something serious, and then it cross the synapses in your brain
Yeah.
are not making connections like that.
Yes.
But it's tremendous.
Just the situational humor. I have a feeling like this is going to be like a full on like scorched earth sort of series finale, like the way it's gearing up.
Sure.
Like there's going to be no happy ending, and I don't think
Yeah.
if you've watched Barry up till now, like you expected that, but
No, that's kind of is there anything better than that one episode where they fight in that one guy's house?
that I hate that episode, the bottle episode.
Really?
Oh, worst episode. I don't like that one, man.
Oh, that
like
one's
the kid
amazing.
who's like biting people and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that one.
No,
That's
that one...
the most brutal fight scene I've ever seen because they're both just like basically too tired to fight at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it captures like the like ridiculousness, but yeah, nothing so far. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in. I just like I couldn't stop laughing like at the whole like we forgive each other. Sure, he killed your brother. And it's like, would you like any jalapeno poppers for the table? I'm like, oh my god, like this is great. Who thinks of this shit? So
yep, let's make The Wire, but funny. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with TV. I'm out of options. I think everything I've been watching is finally wrapped up.
I'm way behind because I got into this thing called Supernatural, and it's a lot to get through.
It's only like 16 seasons. You're fine.
I think we are officially halfway through. So
you got through the bad Sam stuff. He's no longer Satan.
No, I don't think
so. Alternate dimensions.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, you're not through that, or you are?
I don't think so. I've not seen that. Okay, I don't think. I'm sorry. Well, there is some stuff. The one that really so there's this kid who worked at the Wiener Hut. And no, it was some guy that was he ended up being an angel.
Okay.
And he's getting tortured in like his Wiener Hut outfit and everything like this. And this kid looks so familiar. It was driving me nuts. I'm like, I know this guy. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's like in a pop punk band or something like that. And I could not place him. Finally looked it up. It's the main skid from Letterkenny.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep. So that one threw me for a loop on that one.
Some Hallmark movies and shit too.
That's weird.
So Castiel was torturing him then. You've been
introduced to Castiel? Crowley was.
Or not Castiel, but oh, you said Crowley. Okay, I don't want to say too much. You're in for some of the worst because you haven't got to the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse yet, right?
No, we did that. We got through that.
Okay, that's also really bad.
Yep.
But Sam hasn't donned like a white suit and like actually calls himself Lucifer.
Not that I believe. No.
Yeah.
He's got some weird stuff going on. But yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty bad from there yet.
Great.
I'd say season 10 is kind of where it comes back around. You're going to be in.
There was one where
a couple years.
The one where they do the there's an old guy that has the powers of basically the Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good episode. Like that one quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as they can do like episodic, it's when they get into the storyline narratives and really dive into it that it really derails that show. And the Sam Lucifer one is probably like one of the worst arcs.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't hit like Men of Letters or any of that shit yet.
We just got to that.
Like the introduction of like the idea of that.
Yep. Yeah, they just got to the Men of Letters layer, like the hideout or headquarters of that. That was the last episode we watched. So.
And they're both together there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you slept through like the whole Sam thing? Because like, what's
I could have. It would be 8. I wouldn't be surprised if I slept through some of that stuff.
Yeah,
for
so I'm
sure.
gonna say that's like the Men of Letters stuff is like getting towards the good side again.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you missed a lot of the painful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. If you're past that, past the apocalypse or the horseman, maybe you are on the other side. So it'll be all right.
Yep. It's a lot of tablet shit now. They're trying to figure out tablets.
Oh yeah, tablet's a big deal.
Yep. But I actually saw the supernatural car in person
Jealous. You sent me pictures.
at the Fargo Pop Expo, which is basically just kind of they rolled up Comic-Con and another one, ValleyCon, all in one, maybe.
Yeah, I went. So I went last year, their first year, and it was just incredibly lame and poorly attended. Like to the point where you feel like awkward walking around there. Like in the
Still way better than being at the hotel, though.
Yes, that shitty Ramada, 100%.
Yes.
But I felt like I don't know, attendance might have been better this year because like further away from COVID, it's established. But first year I went, it was like those guests were just like eager to get anyone to come up to them and talk to them. So
Really? Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. So, like, that was one of the big thing was like, oh, check out the Ghostbusters car, and it's like, well, I just saw the Ghostbusters car 2 weeks before this, so I'm not.
you see.
But the Supernatural car, I just assumed that they would just be like, here's an old Chevy Impala. But no, they actually kind of went out all out on it, made it kind of a replica of the Supernatural
you
car.
showed,
So.
like the trunk picture you showed me looked awesome.
Yeah. We even looked up the license plate. They had the correct license plate even. So
nice. Yeah, there's one in town that was over in my neighborhood for a while, like 10 years ago. And it had the same license plate and everything too. And I was like,
really?
God damn it, I want to just like get a picture with that.
Could be the same one.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that was all right. I'm not gonna say it was a great event. The vendor, it's just mostly vendors.
Right.
They still kind of have the same little area where you can build Legos if you want to, and then a few CRTs with Mario games on. Nothing exciting.
What I thought was interesting last year was they got Rock 30 to like actually sponsor a section. They had consoles and stuff. Because when we did our gaming convention in town, Rock 30 wanted fucking nothing to do with us. They had,
yep.
Like, my biggest complaint though is still like that ValleyCon group that puts this pop culture thing on is like, yeah, we're a collective and like we do these like 6 events each year. It's like, well, don't do 6 fucking meh events. Like do one big one. Like be known, you know what I mean? Pool your resources.
I think that's what they're trying to do here, right? At least some of them.
I mean, if they are, they're doing it wrong. Like they're basically in the livestock. It literally is the 4-H fucking building of the fair.
Yeah.
Like so, this is the same thing where like people are getting ribbons for like their bakeries and bunnies. You know what I mean? Like in July.
Yep.
It's just not the right venue. Like get it in an area that's downtown or next to hotels with a convention center that's close. Granted, Fargo doesn't have like an ideal situation. The Delta might be the best bet. Like you have this huge hotel with like multiple like gathering rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they don't get it. And the local community, the local geek community is, I'm sorry, a bunch of assholes. Like at least they were 8 years ago when you and I tried to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody wanted to help. Like nobody gave a shit. Everybody was dismissive, wouldn't hang up posters or didn't want to talk to us. And I don't know. I mean, go fuck yourself. Like build a community or just like segregate it and die. And that's what they wanted to do. So,
yep. The subcommittee that we were on ended it anyway recently.
100%.
So,
well, even that, like when we did that whole convention thing, it was like we saw the attendance on the day that we ran the show or ran our area. And they're kind of dismissive day of, but then when like, talks are coming around for next year, it's like, well, you really saved the show. Oh, really? Because you made it seem like we didn't do anything for you. But
yeah.
I don't know. Either way, it was like painful blood, sweat, and tears for a day that I thought was really fun. And then I've basically regretted instantly ever since. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that somebody else is trying to carry it on. Glad it's not us.
Yeah, there was a decent amount of people, I'd say. So
I think we could do it better and fund it ourselves, right? Like we don't need a con, right? Like I don't need a group of people to like funnel me $500.
No.
Am I wrong? Can we not do it better?
We'd make better choices, I think.
I mean, they got Eric Estrada, which that would still be my pick. I'd still want Ponch there. I'd still want the Supernatural
for a geek con, right?
Yeah.
It actually brought people in, I would say. Like when he was up there was a lot of 50-year-old people came out to see him, you know?
Dude, I was like a shut-in kid, you know. I watched Chips on rerun all US. Like Chips is a genuinely good, stands the test of time show. And then like the fact that he was like, I was talking to Andy about like I have the Destroying America like Birdhouse skate video where he has like a huge role. And then you reminded me that like he voiced in C-Lab 2021. I was like, oh yeah, like that guy had like such a good like late career, like cameo stuff, you know?
Yep.
But
for a guy that you just think of as like the Chips guy and never did anything else, you know?
He's Punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't make it to that convention, and the reason I didn't was like that experience the previous year. But like I was definitely jealous of getting to see the Supernatural baby Impala.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to see Fargo can sustain something bigger.
Oh yeah.
If everyone's willing to put their egos aside, but having learned the factions over the years, I just know it's not worth my headache, time, and money.
Yeah.
Even if I broke even and had fun, I'd still want to rip people's scrotes out and punch it down their throats at the end of the day.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it would not be like that. Yeah, I will say there was only one video game vendor. I mean, Mobile Game World was the only one there that I saw video games.
So there were there were three last year. Not full video game vendors, but like partial.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it was mostly comics and toys, and then like 3D print people and stuff like that. Yeah, it's but I will say it was cheap. It was like $25 for
your whole family.
Everybody, yeah.
And I want to say it was like $10 or $15 per person to get in last year, which is like the other reason I didn't want to go, because like the pricing wasn't available on their website at all.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, it says affordable for the whole family. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
So I think that's what it is. It is $10 per person, but they do a $25 family that gets you 2 adults and like 4 kids.
How do you? What is that? 25. Like that could be any collaboration of people, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad way to do.
What's a family?
All right.
Vin Diesel could stroll up with his whole crew.
Take next year, you and me show up with 4 kids and say we're a family and just see what happens.
Yeah, gotta let them in.
Like, you got a problem?
Yeah.
You ever seen 2 dudes with 4 kids before? My husband and I are upset. I know this is a red state, but
then I'd have to sneak out and then bring my other 2 kids in after that.
That's right. You had too many kids to make this deal work. Damn it. That's fine. Yeah, it is a good deal though. Like when you look at it from that perspective, it's just in a not great location. I mean, that building is nice, but it's still like.
I mean, the Fargo Fairgrounds are not in a good location.
No, they really aren't. Not at all. It's basically just the edge of town, like a shitty industrial rundown part of it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, does that get us caught up? Enough random rambling and complaining
I think so.
Our local scene? Because if it does, we got the 150 episode Price is Right extravaganza.
Come on down.
Yes. So, after racking my head for a long time, trying to come up with something fun, 150 related, I kind of came up with the whole Price is Right thing, the Plinko, the intro Plinko game where you gather the chips, right? Like there's a price on an item, One of those numbers is wrong. You have to choose which one. If you get it right, you win, right? That's a Plinko chip. We're not going to get to the actual Plinko because it's hard to do on a podcast, but I ran with that. And my idea was, well, let's do that with any like retro video game prices. And it's 150th episode, so we're looking for the price of $150. You have to guess whether the 1, the 5, or the 0 is wrong. I based it on price charting, rounded to the nearest dollar. And just the way price charting works, like it was incredibly hard to find like a $159 game or whatever. Like, so basically, to make it easier for Andy, the 0 is always going to be probably accurate. It just depends. Like it's less likely. I don't want to ruin anything. I mean, but so we're just going to go through. So knowing that the third digit's probably not the trouble one, which now that I say that is dumb, but you'll see why. Anyway, let's go through this. You ready to play?
Yes.
So I kind of went through in system order. Finding systems that had a range of high dollar value games was tough. And then I just kind of like threw in a smattering of random things at the end. So we have 25 total questions. So first up, for the NES, yes, a lot of Plinko chips. So basically, we're just gonna see if you can come over or under. Like if you come 50% or more, you are the victor. NES we'll start with King Neptune's Adventure. The listed price is $140. What do you think is the wrong digit there?
King Neptune's Adventure. Jeez.
Which I didn't even know was a game.
I didn't even. Yeah, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Is that a Color Dreams thing or something?
It is. Yep.
Okay. And the 1 can be a 0 then.
It could theoretically, yes. Yep.
Considering I can't even picture this in my mind. It's probably got to be a pretty rare one. I'll say the 4
is wrong.
That is wrong. The 4 is wrong.
Yes. I'm just realizing that I priced this whole thing out incorrectly for the way we're playing the game. And this is no longer going to work.
Oh, no. So, like, you have the right prices on it?
I do. What? Yep, that's wrong, which is the wrong price. Yes. Yeah. I didn't take the time to like think it through and like do the other price. Hold on, I can save this.
Yeah, you just come up with fake ones.
Hold on, fixing it as we speak. No, it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work the way I did it. Yep.
Because you can't put different numbers on it?
I could, but like there's some digits missing and there would be 2 things, right?
Well, the digits would be, it could be 0 or 1, right? So if it's like under 100, the 1 would be wrong.
Sure. Boy, I don't know how to pivot this on the fly.
I think that would work, right? Or no, it might just not.
Because the 2 variables. Plus, you gotta think there's like some single digit games. How about I just do like a $20 variance?
How about over and under? Is it over or under? Because you have the right price, right?
I do. Okay, we can do that. Did I tell you the
See,
price
this
of
is
the first
where
one? See, this is where I'm an idiot, and like this made sense when I was like drafting this up.
well, they
Gosh.
did this on they did shit like this on Price is Right, but they had all these pretty ladies walking around you didn't even notice.
Oh God, why am I not a pretty lady? Yeah. So did we do King? Did I tell you the price of that one, King Neptune's? Oh, or over under. You kind of have an idea. You know which one's wrong, but over under 150.
I think it's over.
It's under. It's 140.
Okay.
Okay. It's gonna be a way different game now, and I feel really stupid for being all excited about. I got like, oh God, I don't know what I was thinking. Immediately upon starting this, I realized the error of my ways. I'm sorry, audience. I'm a very stupid man. Anyway, let's continue with the NES. Well, so this isn't a Price is Right game at all. This is just some bullshit thing that we're coming up with on the fly. But 150 is the number that you're guessing over and under is now the game. Still 25 questions. It's going to be way more lopsided now, but NES Mario's Time Machine.
That's under.
That is under. It's $100 according to price charting. See this now. This sucks because like you know some. Anyway, NES Lethal Weapon.
That's under.
That is under $50 supposedly loose, and this is
50? Wow.
I didn't specify that. This is all loose prices.
Oh sure.
Price charting as of today, rounding. NES Wayne's World.
That's above.
It is above. It's $250. Moving on to the Genesis. Genesis is tough because there's not a lot of.
It's like 3.
Yeah, it's a very low threshold. Splatterhouse 3.
That's a big one. I still think it's under 150.
Yeah, when you're doing the over-under game, Genesis is tough. You're right. $100. Genesis. This one seems so sneaky when I put it on here. Genesis, Batman: Revenge of the Joker.
That's got to be under too.
Mm-hmm. This is a very lame game now that I ruined it. Dreamcast. I got a couple here. Dreamcast can be kind of like one of those weird small library varying things. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I could see that being above.
I could see that too and thought it was. But supposedly it's 140 still loose.
Oh, okay.
Complete would be.
I suppose, yeah.
A game I never even heard of on the Dreamcast, Prince of Persia Arabian Nights.
Under?
It is under.
Prince of Persia.
$50, wow. They say on that one. All right, let's go on to SNES.
Over 150.
Super Copa.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said too.
You mean that law that protects like 13-year-olds from being on the internet or whatever?
Yep, that one.
Under.
You were wrong. Super Copa is a soccer game and it's $250 loose. Apparently.
Jeez.
SNES again. Artie Lightfoot.
I'll say above.
It is above. 190 supposedly this game.
Wow.
SNES. Metal Marines.
Below.
This is correct. $100. SNES again. Last SNES. Peacekeepers.
That's below.
Okay. You are correct. $50 loose. You're killing this. You've only missed 3 so far. See, this is where this falls apart. GBA Ninja 5.0.
Above.
Yeah, loose is $350.
Jeez. $350. Wow.
GBA Summon Night Swordcraft Story.
Oh gosh,
I didn't even know that was a game.
I used to get some of those every once in a while. I'll say below still.
Correct. 130 supposedly.
Wow.
Yeah. Game Boy here. Paperboy / Rampage / Marble Madness / Clax. And I put this one on here because you'd think it'd be obvious, but I kind of can't believe it.
I was gonna say I've seen that cart, but I don't think I've seen the one that has 4 on there.
Yeah, I've never seen the one that has 4. I always thought there were 3 or 2, but
yeah,
must have been a limited run.
Yeah, it must be above then, huh?
GBA was like bullshit because it was like not for resale edition. Like there's so much of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
64, like it was just bad.
Yep. Yeah, that's got to be above. If I've never seen that.
No, you are wrong, but staggeringly, that thing's at $100 supposedly.
Jeez.
And again, yeah, I've never seen that version either, so it's weird. I just wouldn't have expected that. Turbo Graphics, we're gonna go into a few here. We'll start off with Shockman. It's the first one.
Under.
Surprisingly, that one's just over. It's at 190.
Wow.
Which that's not a great game either. TurboGrafx 16 again. Air Zonk.
That's got to be over.
You would think, but loose they have it at 140. So,
jeez, I feel like that one's gone down then.
Yeah, it has come down for sure.
I figured I saw this one guy do a review of it one time on YouTube that would have really drove up the price a lot.
I did do a review, didn't I? Like a really shitty review when I was just like recording screens. You're right. Man, that's a bad video. Don't watch that. It might not even be listed anymore. TurboGrafx 16, one I bought from you, Bonk 2, Bonk's Revenge.
That's probably above.
No, it's actually below still.
Really?
It's held its value loose at $50.
Okay.
According to price charting. So.
I'm thinking of maybe the CD one is probably.
The CD one is yes, and the Air Zonk also in the same situation.
Yep.
So you whiffed on the TurboGrafx games. Like,
oh man, you tricked me. All of them are supposed to be above.
You're not a real gamer. So this is the system that I was surprised by because when I was looking at other modern, what I consider modern libraries, the price spread on this stuff blew me away. But the PlayStation. So let's get into PlayStation. The Misadventures of Tron Bonne.
Oh, that's over.
It is over. $250. For anyone who doesn't know, that's the sequel to Mega Man Legends. Sequel, side shoot, whatever you want to call it.
Something like that, yeah.
Legends 2, I guess. But PlayStation Namco Museum Volume 5.
I know that's the hard one to get. I don't think it's over 150 though.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that any of those were worth more than like $2.
I think I'm still gonna say under though.
Okay, and you're right. It's surprisingly, shockingly at 130, but as far as I do, those were all just like trash. I had no idea. All right, PlayStation last, PlayStation 1 here. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete.
I'm gonna say under.
It is. What do you think it would go for under loose?
Loose? Let's say 125.
No, 50 apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Shocking. I thought that one was gonna be tricky because like the whole lunar thing.
Yeah.
Designs, but was that the one I found for 99 cents, or was it a different one?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
All right, so we got 4 more left, and this is where I was like, I want to go to 25, so just through like random consoles. OG Xbox, meaning the original Xbox, Teen Titans.
Oh. I'm going to say under, but it's still surprising.
Yes, you were correct. It is under, but I was also shocked that it's up to 120 loose.
Jeez.
That game has had a bit of a redemption arc. We've played it. It's not bad.
No.
It's just it doesn't deserve the hype that it gets on retro consoles either. At least to drive up the price this much. Next random console, the N64. We know it, we love it. The PGA European Tour.
Oh, I'll say under.
Boy, that was close. It is, but it's 140.
Wow.
Yeah. Neo
I'm sure
Geo.
that's a tricky one.
AES. Karnov's Revenge.
Over.
It's a pretty safe bet.
I'm trying to think of. You could probably on one hand the AES games that are under 150 bucks.
Art of Fighting, Nam 77. That's pretty much it. So yeah, yep. $350, which I didn't even like. That wasn't a game I even knew came to.
No, I didn't know that either.
That's a Data East, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So last one, my favorite console of all time, the almighty Jaguar. And its precious, groundbreaking fighting game, Fight for Life. Some of the same people from Virtua Fighter. Or literally one guy from Virtua Fighter.
One guy.
Yes.
I'll say under.
Strangely, you are correct. Shouldn't be under. It was the last gasp. It was a true 3D fighting game. It is a piece of shit because it's on the Jaguar, but it's $50 loose.
Huh.
So you only missed like 7, which
not too bad.
But that's mostly because I'm a moron and fucked the game up. But it was more fun that way, probably.
Yeah,
I would have chosen better had I've not been so stupid. So.
When we get to 300 episodes,
I'll fuck it up again.
Well, it'll be really easy. Is this game over $300 or not?
That's true. We'll be so much more
like
clueless. Like every year we get less and less cued in on what games are priced at.
That's true.
I would love to see us go like just hitting thrift stores and stuff like we used to, and just like eagle-eyeing like the $100 games out of stuff. We'd miss so much right now.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be bad.
PlayStation 2 stuff is just crazy. The way it used to be compared to what it is now. And yeah.
Yes, well, you killed it. You're still on top of your game.
Yep. Spay new to your pets.
Do it. Well, does that mean it's weekend rental time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So weekend rental. Not familiar with the show. We're 150 episodes in. I'd hope you'd be. But if you're a new listener and you're not, we appreciate you. And I'll explain it. What we do is we pick a game for a given system, and we decide whether we play those games. We decide whether we personally buy, rent, or burn that particular game. By burn, we mean light it on fire. Console of choice this episode is the classic Game Boy.
Burn.
Breaking Game Boy.
Burn.
Burn? You're just burning it based off that? That's rude.
It's old. I don't deal this.
We're old.
This garbage green screen. I don't want to play it. Burn.
We're 5 years away from only seeing green and gray ourselves. So the game we're talking, of course, we want to do a milestone game. A game that changed things. A game that is unforgettable. And what better than Tetris on the original Game Boy, the pack-in game, the puzzle game to start the puzzle game genre, the puzzle game to still beat 30 years later, Tetris. Yeah, again, like the music, the gameplay, the fact that it was everywhere. It was the first, as we talked about when we recorded last night a little bit, playing some Game Boy. It was the first game that your parents gravitated towards, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's super approachable, super addictive. It meets the right gameplay pace and hardware specs to just like nestle right into what the Game Boy could do. The Game Boy can do just enough to make it amazing and add enough definition to make it look great while not taxing the system. And those like 4 soundtracks you got, unforgettable. Like, I don't know about you, but like after playing this game for dozens upon dozens of hours, I realized there was the track selection, and then I think like the track 2 or 3 became my like favorite after the initial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat the number 1. I mean, that's iconic. I mean, every time you see like anything Russian on TV or any Russian building, I feel that's already like playing in my head, that
Yep.
song. But yeah, the rest of the songs are all pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things, like once you get into like hour-long play sessions, and like it's nice to be able to change up the song here or there. But they're all just,
Yeah.
they're all super like ingrained in you if you play with them for any amount of time. Um and this is like one, like we said, like this is one of the first games I distinctly remember my parents getting into. Asteroids in the 2600 for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I can distinctly remember like having to wake up at like 11 o'clock, or not even wake up, like lay in bed at like 11 o'clock at night on a weeknight, and go downstairs and ask my dad to turn the volume down on the Game Boy. He's like, Dad, I'm trying to sleep, and all I hear is the Tetris music, and it's like floating through my brain as I'm laying here in bed. And those are pretty cool memories, and those are not memories that most people have. Maybe it's different now, right? Like everybody plays a little bit of a game, a mobile game or whatever. But like back
Yeah,
then,
this
like
is
to see your parents play a video game was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Other than pinball, right?
Yep. And Tetris was the go-to for that. It really was kind of the breakthrough where I feel like you said, Asteroids, a lot of families got into Atari and Pong and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it was still viewed as a kids thing.
Yep.
I think Tetris sold a lot of Game Boys to adults that didn't even have kids. This like didn't have any video game experience before that really either. It was just that's what sold it. And they maybe only had that one game.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, there are definitely. I've heard stories on other podcasts where people like kids getting Game Boys and like not realizing that Tetris came out of the back of it. They're just like, I just had this Game Boy for like 5 years and I had no idea that it did something else. For sure, it was like the game that helped sell Dr. Mario, right? Like once puzzle games like became ingrained, and like
Mhm.
Dr. Mario was like the next big like approachable thing. Like I can remember aunts and uncles when I had nephews with Nintendos, or like cousins with Nintendos, like their parents like playing that game when I walked in, and like they could do the same thing with Tetris, but like I don't think you'd have the success of the puzzle genre as a whole had it not been for Tetris like breaking ground, being licensed specifically through Nintendo, because it's important to note that it was on the NES first through Tengen Tetris, which is Atari. That version also had an arcade port, 2-player head-to-head, simultaneous same screen. But it was really with the licensing through Nintendo on the Game Boy that Tetris got mainstream. Well, and through the Famicom. I guess it had been licensed in the Famicom and was huge over there. It's just like it built a genre, and there's still not a game in the genre that I think has surpassed it as far as perfection, on like the simplicity and like just the ease of getting in, understanding, and instantly having fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
The
And
Poyu
that's
games
exactly
take
it.
more understanding. The Dr.
Yep.
Mario games come with more frustration. Like there's something about just like the pick up and play of Tetris that is timeless.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, because if you're playing on the highest speed, or if you just playing for 5 minutes on the first level, it's the same game. I mean,
Yeah.
the speed is different, but it's the same exact game. you talk about Dr. Mario, and it's like once you get into the later levels, it's just messed up, you know, the amount of viruses and mixed up stuff. It's a
Yeah.
completely different game at that point.
And
I feel
I'd
like,
argue that Dr. Mario only becomes fun past that point because of the 2-player co-op, like head to head. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if it didn't have that, it would just kind of fail, which we saw with Tetris 2 when we played last night. Like if you're not doing head
it,
to head, what's the point?
yep, exactly, yep. Uh, yeah, I think that's what it is about Tetris is you could play for 5 minutes and you're gonna have fun. I mean, it's there's there's something just so simple about it. Um, I mean, that's the reason they call it the Tetris effect, right? That this is one of the games that does something to your brain, I think.
Yeah.
They say that you kind of see the pieces in your head and you're trying to, you know, make the Tetris. Usually trying to find the long piece to complete the 4 in a row Tetris, but yeah, it's the link cable was a pretty big deal too when this came out. I mean, it's one thing to play this and challenge yourself and see how far you can go and just have the satisfaction of it. But then when you have that second player there, it kind of turns the game on its head, you know?
Yeah. And it was cool that the link cable was like packed into like everyone's Game Boy bundle. And
Hmm.
sadly, I think most people like probably lost it and or forgot it and like didn't realize what it was for. But it was a USB. Am I correct in that it was a USB
No,
connection? It was close though, right?
yeah, it is weird. I don't know if it's completely proprietary to Nintendo, which I
Okay.
would imagine it is, but
Yeah.
it almost looks like later on the Game Boy SP charger, maybe not the SP charger. I feel
Okay.
like there was a charger that had that exact same thing too, but
Maybe you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, I just like in my childhood head, I feel like I'm comparing it to USB now, but yeah, I guess it makes sense that it would have been like a parallel port or something back then.
Hmm.
Yeah. I played a few handfuls of matches in Tetris like that. Played some F1 race, but then I think most people pre Pokemon Game Boy kind of forgot about the link cable altogether. And then, the Pokemans kind of reminded
That
people.
kind of, yeah, exactly. That kind of revitalized it. I'm trying to remember. I didn't play 2-player while we did this, but when you get a line, this doesn't throw junk on the other person's screen, right? It's just straight up who can play their
It,
Tetris game the best.
if you get a Tetris, it might stack baselines from the bottom,
Okay.
but I can't remember either. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot less attack heavy than like later versions or like a Puyo
Hmm.
Puyo or something. I know that for sure.
Yep.
But yeah. Pretty cool though. Way back then you could just like do that and like play a co-op game on the go.
Hmm. Yep. And the graphics are pretty good too. I would say it's one of the. I think we were talking about how it's one of the only Tetris where the pieces actually are different. Since they obviously didn't have color, they had to make different
Textures.
textures for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I don't think they've ever really gone back to that.
No, and it adds a nice visual layer, to be honest. Because like
Hmm.
I prefer it even over like the NES version where it's just like flat colors.
Hmm. Yep.
I just think it looks nice. So I used to play this a lot on my Super Game Boy, and then you get like the textures plus like a color hue, which was like a nice bonus. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
This is one of the only Tetrises that I really played a decent amount though. After this, I kind of got it. I was like, "Yep, got it."
yeah,
Uh, Tetris Effect got me back into it a little bit,
yeah. I played
but
Worlds for a good amount when that came out on like PS2, Xbox, GameCube, mostly because it had the online.
mhm.
Then you realize that like, okay, the 4-player online is kind of dumb because it's just like nobody's shit talking through Tetris. So it's just like 4 people in a lobby playing, and then you'd be like, ah, fuck, you know what I mean? Like every once in a while,
Yep.
like somebody would say something. So I think it's worth noting that like the mobile revolution really helped Tetris stay on the forefront, because like Tetris, beyond Snake, Tetris was the first game that everyone would pay $2 for, right? To have on like whatever flip phone they had, because it just worked on like shit hardware. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many versions of Tetris I bought for like my first flip phone, my first Razor, my first. Well, I kept buying it because it's like, well, this is the time passer game. You know what I mean?
I would love to know the exact amount of like how many separate versions of Tetris there have been developed. It's got to be over 50, I'd say.
Well, and just think all the bootleg too, like the amount of piracy, I'm sure around the world. But yeah, even through like the Tetris company, I'm sure it's staggering. Like, it's absolutely staggering. I mean, shit, there's a Tetris on Virtual Boy. 3D Tetris.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's terrible. Not surprising.
Yeah, can't win them all, I guess.
No.
Yeah, this. Where would puzzle games be though, really, without Tetris? I think would just. I wonder if somebody would come up with something similar along the way.
Yeah. Maybe. But like, where would gaming be too? Just like the beauty and simplicity, you know? Because Tetris was coming out at that, like, it was being popularized in that era where more graphics and more of this was the thing, and Tetris was the killer app. They could have put anything on the Game Boy that would have been visually and technically more impressive, but nothing would have held up as well as like what this game does, like in its confinement. It's amazing. It's a blueprint for like indie game design. You know what I mean? Even to this day, like the beauty and simplicity. Like it doesn't have to be about pixels, and like have a good fundamental fun game.
Yep, and he's kind of the ultimate indie, I suppose, too.
Yeah,
One of the first indies.
Even though it took him like 20 years to like make any money from his invention and escape Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I do like the press up and the block goes down immediately function.
No, you're wrong.
It's nice to just not have to wait when you already know what you want to put it.
I disagree with you. That's the button of regret.
You can more often than not, I would say it does end up that way where you're like, oh, you think it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, it's worth noting, like the insta drop, like you talked about, is missing. You can hold down to drop blocks faster. There is no roll. Well, that's not true. There is roll ish. Like if you time it right, you can squeak things in weird. But there's no like insta roll of like.
It's not the weird ones that new ones have where it's like
forever juggle, right?
Yeah.
This is bare bones. You plan your shit, you get it in there, and you move on.
Exactly.
Because does this even have like preview to like the next piece coming? I forget.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Right?
I think it just gives you what it is.
Yeah, you're not even planning your next move. It's just like it's on screen. Deal with it, and that's good. Makes you think on your toes.
Yep. Tetris is one of those games where, I mean, if you're really good at it, you know how to stack everything, but there's times where it's just like you can't deal with a certain piece, and that's what they gave you, you know?
Yep.
It's got that good design.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with that, I suppose we might as well review it and give it our buy run burn scale. I'll let you go first. This shouldn't be too surprising for either of us, but
oh yeah, this is definitely a buy.
What?
Even though most people didn't buy it.
You're buying
they
it?
got it they got it for free.
Doesn't it still count as a sale?
I guess.
Probably.
They had to license it, I suppose.
Makes me wonder what the price of a box Tetris is versus loose.
Mm-hmm.
So can't be a whole lot of boxes out there. Well, there's probably still a lot of boxes. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna also buy one of the greatest games of all time. Weird. Tetris is Tetris. I mean, there's a reason there's a full-fledged film adaptation about this movie in 2023. So it's that important to culture.
Yep.
And gaming.
Do you want to do a quick buy, rent, burn of the following 3 games?
Oh God, we can. It's not gonna be good.
He followed this game up with Weltris for PCs, and we played that a little bit. That is a weird game to wrap your head around. I on a podcast, I don't know how to describe this game.
Glove ball meets Tetris.
Yes, it is kind of like glove ball.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the pieces go once they hit the bottom or the bottom of the well. Yep. They shoot the way that they would, opposite of the direction that you were in. So it's really weird to think in kind of a 3-dimensional space that, but also does not have realistic physics.
Yeah, and then the controls like inverting as you like pass wall to wall really fucks you up. And
yep.
It's ambitious in a good way. It's not better than Tetris. I'd give it a rent. I didn't hate it.
Yep. I think he had something. Like if a little bit better controls, maybe.
Take out the sickles and the Russian propaganda might have helped. But, yeah.
There's a lot of the backgrounds from here on out. There was some art. There was some art spent.
Yeah.
There was some money spent on the art of these backgrounds and Russian propaganda of some sort. And then he made a hard left. Like he decided like there was a deer on the road and he took the car and rolled it into Faces, Ellipses, Tris, or Faces, Ellipses, Tris 3.
He could have just called it shit.
It's disturbing. It's like Yoshi. The original Yoshi NES game where you're kind of switching things back and forth to stack. But what you're stacking is a cross section of people's faces.
Yeah, like chin, lips, nose, eyes, head. And if you fuck up, there's like no redeeming it. Like your stack is dead.
Yep. If you don't do that in that order, you just have a dead stack in the middle of the thing.
So I never understood how you would play one map for more than like one round for more than 5 minutes.
No.
Because it fills to the top.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite of Tetris, of trying to keep your shit clean, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can in this game.
And then for some reason it would allow you to like kind of interchange some of the people's stuff, like the Asian lady and like the Indian lady and like.
Yeah. So we did figure that out, that you can interchange everybody's cross section and make horrible. I mean, you're playing God in some terrible ways in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like it. It's not intuitive. You're getting 2 pieces that drop every time. So you're always sacrificing one for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
The box art is disturbing as fuck. The faces that you're building are disturbing. There's no good music. The controls are poop. And nobody needed this. Burn. I'm just going to burn them straight to hell.
That's definitely a burn. Yeah. Again, the art was kind of weird in this too, where it's just a woman holding a baby.
Yeah, what was the deal with that background? It's weird. I'm surprised she wasn't breastfeeding. That would have been like the logical step, given the way he was going.
Later on, while we were playing this, we found the functionality that it seems like you can upload images of faces, your own face. You bring your own face.
This was like pre-internet. Like, where were you getting these images? Were you going to like clip art and drawing people? Was that what you were doing? You're going to paint, you're drawing your family, and then you're uploading them in face dress is what was happening.
Yep. Terrible. My new game is I'm gonna scrape the local county jail website of all the mugshots.
Now you're missing out on a golden opportunity here for Pornhub. It's called Dictris. It's like scrot shaft tip. That's what you're matching up.
But that's hard to program because you can just keep adding more shaft.
Exactly. You never know how big that dong is. It's the challenge.
You got to put the tip on at some point, right?
Yep. Oh, when?
That game. Just, this is a podcast, but please go look up the box that they tried to sell this game in a store that would want you to buy this game.
Yeah.
Just look at that box.
It fits the era, but also you would never purchase it.
You certainly wouldn't think it's a puzzle game. It looks more
like it's a photo editing design lab box than a puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
Just like some of the lips, like I can't get over that like turkey neck that they put on the bottom. At least I think it's turkey neck. We're still not sure if it's a turkey neck or a scrot. It's one of the two.
I don't know. There's some Silence of the Lambs things going on in that game, I think. But he followed it up with a little bit more family friendly version of this.
Right.
With Tetris.
Yep. On the
it's a little bit more well known. Still obscure. Kind of the same game.
It is virtually the same game, yeah.
Yep.
You're stacking hats on heads. 2 hats come down like before. It's just like a way less fun version of Yoshi's Cookies again.
Mm-hmm.
This one is actually just a straight rip of Yoshi Cookie.
Oh yeah, it looks identical. At least in Yoshi's Cookie, you can stack them up, and you get the eggs, or not? Is it Yoshi? That's is true. The one with the egg, right?
Oh yeah, so Yoshi. Yoshi Cookie's a different game.
You cap them with the egg, and it clears the whole thing, which is nice.
There's no way to do that here.
There's no game. It's still the same thing where you're focusing on one set of hats, and then the other thing you're just dumping garbage somewhere else and messing up a stack.
It's a trash management game, not a good puzzle game.
Yep. I still endlessly fascinated about what the story is of what this. It seems like it's a hat factory with some severed heads on the bottom, and then there's
2 Oompa Loompas who like
Oompa Loompas.
It's a factory of nightmares, really.
Mm-hmm.
Plus that cover art is always like kind of reminded me of like the Toys cover art for the movie Toys.
Oh, sure.
With Robin Williams, which
that's a nightmare too.
Yep, nightmare, 100%. So it's just like these both just go to bad places for me upon seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a good game either. This is a burn. Just like could be. It's a worse version of the thing it's based on, which is crazy to say. It's a worse Faces, but it might be a better game. But it's still bad. It's not gonna make any sense unless you played it.
Yeah, I think Faces, at least you can interchange. Like you get bonus points if you keep the face clean.
Okay. So you argue that's a better game?
But you can interchange them. Where this game, it's like
that's
you
true.
have different sizes. Some of them are top hats, which are taller, and then some of them are tiny little hats. And then once you dump them on, I don't think there's a way to really clear it after that. I could be missing something, but
probably not. It's not worth their time to investigate.
No.
So what are you going to do with it?
I think it's a burn still. It's
so he's got to buy, a rent, and 2 burns. It's not a great overall career.
No, I don't think he went on to a whole lot better things here. It's kind of a David Crane situation.
Yeah. It was out of his hands at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make more puzzle games to stay alive. Huh. It's a sad story. With a good redemption arc.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's doing anything. He hasn't done anything in games in a long
resting
time
on his millions. That's what he's doing.
Mhm.
Rightfully so. But, well, with that, is it 150?
It's 150th episode.
I mean, we should probably say again, thank you. Thank you, everyone who's listened along the way. We appreciate it. We've loved all iterations of the show. We know the show's changed. I think Andy and I are pretty appreciative of like the dynamic we have now, how easy it's flowing together. I think the quality of the show's on the up and up. I think we're making a better product than we've made in a while. I hope you all agree. If you don't, you can let us know. Go
Yeah,
to
please
whatever
do.
platform you're on, still give us a 5-star review. But leave a comment somewhere else, maybe on Twitter, to
Mhm.
let us know if it's bad. But you know,
Exactly. That's how you do it. Yeah, it definitely. We'd love to hear from you
about faces.
about faces. Yeah, check that out. Let us know. Weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter. Hey, if you want to see faces, you can see our faces on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And
We do this.
you made us a Twitch
I made a Twitch.
and a Discord.
It might actually happen. You
We're
might
not doing
see
anything
more of
yet,
us.
but they're there.
You might see more of us.
Yeah.
But right now, yeah, you can see our faces. We do this podcast on video.
We do.
So that's an option if you want to rather watch on YouTube.
Yes.
Um
We're two sexy middle-aged bearded gentlemen with
Mhm.
hats every week for
We-
your viewing pleasure.
we look like you'd expect us to, I think. That's how I'll put that.
Yes.
And yes, we do have a Tetris spectacular going through all those games. You can see how awful those are. That will be up on our YouTube as well by the time this is up.
Yes.
Yep. But hey, let's do another 150 too.
Yeah. What's that, like 7 more years?
Yep, sign up.
We're gonna be here till probably the tsunami takes us all out.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see what the internet situation is in the nursing home. But
until then,
till then, be kind. Rewind.
bread's done.
Bananas times 150.